Hi, it's Mildred Songbird, the Michelle Birdsong in New York City. We're looking at a picture of Stevie Wonder and his daughter Robin Birdsong, which I've just recently found out she is his daughter. Okay. This is a stop song, which is a discourse. The name of this talk is Jesus Christ Blinds Judas, Stevie Wonder. I was alone in our house in Hollis, Queens, August 1st, 1975. 9 months pregnant. My husband, Edwin Birdsong, was in Philadelphia. I found out later he was sleeping with some girl there. Later she got pregnant. She said Edwin was the father. If you would see the baby all grown up today, you'd see that she doesn't look like him at all. She doesn't look like his other children either. He had another baby by a black Muslim woman. What did I write? Chicken? When he was while he was married to me. So, but I didn't find out about this girl that he was with in Philadelphia. I divorced him, and I found out this year when she was born. So that's when I connected the dots and realized, oh, her mother was who he was sleeping with when I was having the baby alone in Hollis, Queens. Anyway, I was experiencing labor pains. This when I was alone in the house in Hollis, Queens. I lay on the mattress on the floor. My dog Gita lay across from me, watching me. Finally, the pains were so severe, I knew I'd have the baby right there in my bedroom if I didn't do something. So while having pains, I grabbed my purse, and with Gita by my side, I walked up Hollis Avenue. As I was walking, I felt liquid trickling down my leg. I knew my water, I wrote watch, it should be water. I knew my water was breaking. I arrived at the 24-hour White Castle hamburger fast food place in a few minutes. There was a payphone outside. I got the coins out of my purse and called my friend Shatima in Tribeca in Manhattan. Fountain Jr., a mutual friend, answered the phone. It was early in the morning. I had turned Fountain and Shatima onto the spiritual path I'm on, the path of the masters. Her then husband, Shatima's husband, Gary Bird, then a disc jockey at radio station WWRL, had asked me about the path. I told him, and Gary Bird was Herod, one of the Christ killers. I told him I would inform his wife, Shatima, all about the path. Then she could inform him. I think Gary Bird was my son in a past life also, and he was Ptolemy. I think Ptolemy was an astronomer, an astrologer. Well, they were the same thing in those days. And that is what happened. Eventually, Gary and Shatima both asked our leader, our guru, the perfect living master of his time, for initiation. That's where he connects the soul to the sound current, the current sound of the highest frequency, the level of God realization where your third eye is opened, and you can know the ancient truths and go back to merge into the ocean of light when you die your final death. The disciple of the Lord on the path. More than one. The disciples of the Lord on the path die while living. This means during the required 2.5 hours of daily meditation, you leave your body and travel the spiritual realms until one day you achieve God realization. Jesus said, "You can be like me." This was the stage he was referring to. The then Master Charan Singh, the 1st and 20th century form of Jesus Christ, said, "There are many stages." In the 1st century, Jesus said, "In my Father's house are many mansions." He called the mansions stages now. While meditating or while being on the path, I have come to know some of the past lives I've led. I didn't know the night I was in labor with Stevie Wonder's immaculately conceived baby. I thought I was pregnant by my husband, Edwin Birdsong. I knew I hadn't slept with Stevie Wonder, with anyone except my husband, and I certainly didn't know I could get pregnant some other way than physical sex, penis, letting semen into the vagina. I got pregnant by Stevie Wonder one night. My husband was with Stevie Wonder, probably having sex with him. I'm an empath and an HSP, highly sensitive person. This means I pick up on the feelings of those close to me as my own. So I picked up on having sex with Stevie Wonder. I shuddered at the thought. I was squeamish. I have since found out I was a detective, Sherlock Holmes, in a past life. I have found out that Stevie had been Judas in the 1st century, and I had been Christ's wife, Mary. Judas had let himself fall in love with Mary. Love is forever. Judas, Stevie Wonder, was still in love with Mary, now Michelle Birdsong. He had lusted after Mary. His desire for Mary was ever present. So while I, the Michelle Birdsong, was wondering about having sex with Stevie, even though it was a self-generated thought, but a thought from my husband, the thought was of the same polarity as Judas's desire thought of Mary. Judas's desire thought of Mary, the Michelle Birdsong. Robin Birdsong is my other mother from the past, and Donnie's desires were to be born of a saintly mother and a piano player singer, a rock star father. Synchronicity is a state of being simultaneous. It means at the same time. Between Stevie Wonder, Judas's desire, plus the Michelle Birdsong Mary's desire, less than 30 seconds of wanting to know what it would be like to have sex with Stevie, and plus Robin Birdsong's desire, who is Aunt Donnie, for St. Mary, Michelle, and a rock star dad, created a spark. That synchronicity between those three souls created a spark that came together and manifested physically into a child, a baby, though we had not had a coming together of the three of us. We came together on the earth. We came together on the invisible plane, the imagination, the first step of physically manifesting. It happened with lightning speed. Jesus Christ said, speed is a natural attribute of the soul. When Edwin transitioned recently, Robin went to the funeral. Stevie Wonder went to the funeral also. He sang 2 songs. He and a young lady said to be his daughter and Robin took a picture together. Robin was showing me the picture later. She said, "I look more like Steve than his daughter." I was surprised by the comment. I said, "Well, you're not Stevie Wonder's child. I never ever slept with him." I thought about it once and quickly dismissed it from my mind. When Edwin and I were together, I was fiercely loyal to him. I thought he was loyal to me. But I looked at the picture anyhow. They looked the same. Robin and Steve looked the same. See? Look at the noses, the same noses. Is this something? The same noses. But, it was puzzling until I connected the dots, as they say. Until I connected the dots, as they say. Stevie's daughter had a narrow nose. Robin and Steve have round noses. There's not a doubt in my mind at this time, while Edwin and Steve were fucking, Judas's long-standing desire to fuck Mary was there somewhere in his imagination. At the same frequency came my split-second desire to know what it would be like, and joined together in synchronicity in the imagination. Sparks flew and were to come, and were to become, C-U-M, you see that, huh? Andoni, who had given me piano lessons that lasted only briefly because the teacher hit my fingertips when I made a mistake playing the playing. Judas picked up on it because when he became 12 years old, his first hit was called Fingertips. Jesus Christ said to me and others of his disciples, "There's no such thing as a coincidence." When I want to know something for sure, I ask Jesus Christ, Govinda Singh. He's in my head behind the pineal gland. He said yes, Robin was Steve's. Robin was born August 1st, Leo Sun, Taurus Moon, and Taurus Mars. Mars and Taurus. Baba G, Jesus Christ, was born August 1st also. Stevie Wonder is a Taurus. He was born, the bull, he was born May 13th, 1950. I mentioned before that when I was just 5 years old, the blind black, on other videos I mentioned this, the blind black preacher, Elder Burton, in my church, the Church of God on Poston Street in Clarksville, Tennessee, yelled something. I was sitting alone on a bench. All I heard was, "Burn in hell for eternity." Stevie Wonder was being born in 1950. He was still in love with Mary, still attached to her, as she went to hell in her imagination. That's a girl sitting on the bench in church, okay? Baby Stevie Wonder went to hell physically. The growth of his eyes were aborted, and the growth of my identity as the girl sitting on the bench being yelled into hell by the preacher. Growth of my identity as a good girl was aborted by the preacher, who sent me to hell, where I stayed attracting neglect, poverty, mental issues, rape, cancer, being shot at twice, unwanted by my mother and father and sister, growing up. I was robbed at gunpoint. I made attempts at suicide 3 times. homelessness, betrayals by girls and boys, teen pregnancy, ran away from home, jealousy from others, violence to me, 37 years of battling Lucifer in the good versus evil marriage, plus as an empath, undergoing all sorts of feelings that weren't even my own. At 5 years old, I was very upset to know that somebody could say something and it would become your reality in your imagination. Okay, let's decode become. Be Eve energy. Mary, her, good girl, Guru Gorinda. This is Gorinda sings good girl. Okay. The first step to reality is imagination. That's why Jesus said, if you lust after the woman, you've already committed adultery. Lust decoded. Will you see a cross? You will see a cross. Stevie Wonder Judas had to bear the cross for lusting after Jesus Christ's wife in the first century, betraying blind. His cross is being blind. The first century betraying Jesus to get him out of the way so he could have a chance with his wife. Judas wanted to have a chance with Jesus Christ's wife, Mary. Then Judas hanging himself because of his guilty conscience. Then Judas was born blind in the 21st century with the lust, desire for Mary still in his heart. Though she had to go to hell, Jesus could be sure Judas couldn't find Mary. She was safe. But when I came home from church, I wanted to understand how the preacher could frighten me, as I felt terror during the less than a minute's time I spent in hell. Oh my goodness, I wrote heaven. I didn't know the preacher was but a puppet of my husband from the first century, Jesus Christ. Love lasts forever. Steve said a doctor told him he could probably have his eyes repaired given the new techniques in eye surgery that exist today. So that's good news. But Steve said he didn't want anything changed. I wanted to understand Elder Burton. This is the little 5-year-old girl talking. I wanted to know how he could send me to hell, a little child. I had been Freud, Pearls, and Jung's wife, hence the interest in the logic of the psyche. Psyche Decoded. Present Michelle Birdsong, psychologist, Talk and Share Therapy. That's the name of the therapy, guided by God, I have created, that cures mental illnesses. I want to know what he felt. I wanted to know what Elder Burton, the blind preacher, felt, that he would do that to me. As Einstein, I had wanted to understand the mind of God so I could feel what God feels. Love is becoming the other person. Love is losing your identity. When you feel what someone else feels, you are lost to what you feel. You become the other's feelings, the other's experience. By the way, they want to introduce you to 5G, and they want to tell you what you're going to feel by programming you to perceive certain things and think certain things which generate particular feelings. So you see, you would be losing your mind, you'd be losing your identity if you hooked up with 5G. I hope you don't do that. Alright, let's continue the story. Einstein wanted to know what it felt like to be God. Since my husband, Govinda Singh, Jesus Christ, is God, whom I love, whom I become, I can say that as Einstein, I got my wish. From time to time, I know what God feels like when I'm feeling his feelings. You follow me? If you listen, you can follow me. And pay attention. That's the same thing. Judas, Stevie Wonder knows what Mary, God's wife, feels like because he loves her. So Stevie Wonder, Judas, knows what God feels like because when Judas is feeling Mary, the Michelle Birdsong, she is feeling God, Jesus Christ, Govinda Singh. You see that? See how that works? God is also an empath. He can feel others' feelings as his own because he loves others. Indeed, he loves everybody. He can feel everybody's experience. That's what Judas, Stevie Wonder's talking about when he sings to Mary. I get it. You can feel it all over. You can feel it all over. You can feel it all over, children. That's what he's talking about. Mary's name, this life, is French, Michelle. Stevie Wonder's most beautiful title, Chérie Amour, is French. Sir Paul McCartney, projection of Govinda Singh, Jesus Christ, wrote a song, Michelle, My Belle. And Decode Bell, Baba G, Eve Energy, Wills. Okay, I've said this on many videos. It's Eve's energy that motivates Baba G, Jesus Christ, to use his will to make things happen. Okay, so Eve, Mary, D. Michelle, I told Fountain Jr. I didn't know then that Fountain Jr. was my son in a past life. I didn't tell him that. I'm telling you this. That he was the brother of Jesus Christ, Govinda Singh. Which means at some point, my husband, Jesus Christ, Govinda Singh, had been my son. I told Fountain, I'm in labor and I don't know where Edwin is. Fountain said, instead of me driving to from Queens to Manhattan, to Queens from Manhattan, I'll call my mother. I said, okay. So I stood there having labor pains, and in a little while, Fountain calls me back. He said something like, hang on, my mother's coming. They're coming there to take you to hospital. Sure enough, Evelyn Jones, Fountain's mother, drove up shortly. Now, Evelyn Jones is in my womb, is going to be my baby girl. And Govinda Singh is going to be her father. Right. Immaculately conceived. He didn't touch me. He did it with our eyes, the windows of the soul. So, Fountain's mother drove up shortly. Gita, the dog, went back home. We went to Queens General Charity Hospital. Once inside the place, they had me remove my clothes and lie on a cot. I was moaning. Evelyn had me open my legs. She looked at me and she then yelled to the staff in the next room who had left me unattended, somebody better get in here. I'm a registered nurse and I can see the baby's head. A hippie kind of doctor showed up and caught the baby. She looked just like I remember my son Singh looking, except her curls were tighter. Edwin showed up some hours later. He tried to get me to change the baby's name. I had planned to name the baby Aria, but then when Edwin didn't show up, I decided to name the baby Robin Birdsong. Then Edwin said, well, give her the middle name Michelle. So her name is Robin Michelle Birdsong. I said, that name feels right to me. I've since learned that she was Robin Hood, Galileo, Michelangelo, St. Francis of Assisi, Voltaire, the author. Queen Victoria, Empress of India, wife of Albert, Prince Consort, now Earl Percy. She was Sister Donnie Wright, a Clarksville, Tennessee missionary of the Church of God. And there you are. And that's the story of Jesus Christ blinding Stevie Wonder to keep him from hurting his wife, Jesus Christ's wife. Okay, that's it. So long.